learning about different nonprofits, different causes. Volunteerism is our goal, and we want to get everyone out there. So nice to meet you all.
So I'm Brian Canavan. I'm the president and CEO of North Star Impact Group. And so I've got a little bit of a unique lens here. So North Star Impact Group, we help on one side of the business, we help nonprofits go from transactional to transformational fundraising, helping them do whether it's capital campaigns, searches, strategic planning, and kind of working on that front. On the other side of my business, I work with professional athletes and business owners that want to do philanthropic good and help them. So I've been in nonprofit leadership. Came out of sports, working in sports, and was in nonprofit leadership about 17 years before starting North Star Impact Group. So know Girls on the Run and BESA very well. My daughter did Girls on the Run, so big fan of you all. Yeah, so we work with clients all over the country, all over the world. I've got two clients here I'll highlight today that as far as topical in Central Ohio, Stone Mission and Appseed that I'm really excited about, but excited that I think my unique lens might give you some perspective and help on this market and what the nonprofit industry is looking at right now.
Thanks. This is called a dramatic pause. Like that. Okay, my name is Mark Cardwell. I'm the Interim Executive Director for the Ohio Association of Nonprofit Organizations. And briefly, we're a membership-based organization. We exist to help nonprofits across Ohio with education, resources, and advocacy. That's the brief. Hopefully in our conversation, we get to learn a little bit more about how we do that.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you all. So yeah, this is a unique group because there are many ways to get involved in our nonprofits, and we'll get to that later. But for now, I just want to talk about some of the ways that you have seen significant change within your organizations in the past 5 years since the pandemic. Just, like what, is there more need? Is, like just the overall structure of your organization, how has it grown or not? Yeah.
Oh man, it's hard to even rewind that far back almost after the year of 2025.
I can't believe
Before
it's
the
5 years.
That is crazy.
Like
yes.
we were all wearing masks just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. Feels like yesterday.
Yeah. It
And
really
also
does.
like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we've really seen a difference in, and this is not Girls on the Run specific, but a national trend, is just less people either able to volunteer or willing to volunteer as much of their time. And I do think I see that there are people setting more boundaries at the same time, so I don't want to I never want to push people beyond giving their hours that they can. I think there was such a hustle culture before COVID, and so I feel like we even saw people volunteering just to say they did it or just to put it on a resume, and I mean that was helpful, but also I think looking out for yourself and your time that you have to allocate is important, but at the same time volunteering with nonprofits I think is one of the most probably fulfilling things that you can do.
It is.
So I think that's definitely a difference that we've seen in our organization. We're only a staff of 3 serving 8 counties and about 2,000 girls each year. So we depend on thousands of volunteer coaches to go out and coach our teams. And so if we don't have enough coaches, we can't serve more girls. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest shifts. But at the same time, amazing people stepping up too. So
Yeah. What about you?
For us, so I'm in my 6th year at BESA, so when I first started, it was pre-pandemic, 2019, small, strong team, and volunteering was just so communal and just part of a lot of the lives of the people that we were touching. So we had volunteer leaders that were showing up to every event. COVID happened, and it was just the nonprofits we were working with needed volunteers more than ever. And so we really had to grow. And so since the pandemic, we really have grown as a team, as well as our volunteer leaders that I mentioned, as well as our volunteer base. We also have started supporting a lot more different areas in the community and brought on more of our nonprofit partners, but that also meant there's a lot more spots that need to be filled. So that is a struggle that we're still working through today, and trying to make sure that we're, you know, there for the people that really need it during this time, pandemic and after.
So yeah, the change in the last 5 years, I was gonna say, I might take a little different direction, the change in the last year. So as my lens right now with nonprofits, you are seeing more of a kind of an atmosphere of scarcity. So everybody's heard the Doge effect, the cuts that nonprofits are in. There's a statistic I saw that 64% of the nonprofits in Franklin County would be in the red without grants, and they're going to become more and more scarce. And so scarcity, I think, is something I've seen, and unfortunately, with nonprofits, when we operate in scarcity, then we become more mine, and donors are more, and supporters are more demanding more collaboration as we need. So I'm seeing the nonprofits that are doing it right lean into more collaboration, and saying how, you know, where do we fit? BESA is a great example of, you know, Adaptive Sports Connections, one of my clients, and they're incredible. So being able to kind of have those collaborations that make best use of everybody's skill sets has been great. But so I've seen now where or it's, you know, families and donors and people were giving to 10, 15 organizations. Now they're tightening that up and saying, here's the 3 or 4 things I care about more. So.
Okay. Well, I say I've been in and around nonprofits for a long time, 40 years, I suppose. In these last 5 years, so my lens, I guess, is broad. I would say that these last 5 years since COVID have been some of the most significant turbulence that the sector has had to endure. And so I'm going to say, how has that impacted OANO? Significantly. I was a board member before I was interim executive director, and operationally, we've had to downsize, we've had to shrink, and so that's happened to us, and we know that's happened to a lot of our members in other parts of the sector. It's been very, very, very difficult time. So operationally, things have been really hard. And for OANO, we're currently in a space, we have an opportunity to kind of reimagine. We're a 30-year-old organization. We're in a space and a place where we can reimagine OANO for the future, which is dynamic and wonderful. So operationally, it's been hard.
Yeah.
However, what I see when I work with nonprofits and talk with people, the people inside the nonprofits, is this incredible resiliency that is giving me hope as a leader, that I'm not sure it matters what the storm, but the folks who come to living and working for impact are different. They're just made different. And so operationally challenging, but the soul of nonprofit people,
Yeah.
resilient.
Absolutely. And I don't want to get too doom and gloom and talk about everything that is happening with nonprofits right now, but the executive orders that are shutting down large sections of our work, 501c3 status under threat, funding getting cut overnight, our organizations are having to adapt really, really fast, and we never know day to day which ones are going to be affected. What the latest social concern is, and we're even being called terrorists for what we're doing, and that goes completely against everything that you all just said about how great the people are involved in these organizations. True heart and compassion, and we're struggling. Yeah, but there is so much opportunity. And I think that one of the areas where we're really seeing a shift is with that volunteer spirit coming back in a real way. Instead of people volunteering now because they want it on a resume, they're doing it because it's the only way anymore that you can actually like make a difference and feel good about what you're doing. You know, it's in a world that's so dark and scary, being able to know your neighbors and help your neighbors is huge. So I want to talk a little bit more about some of the volunteer opportunities that you have available or that you are aware of in our community, and just why volunteers are an essential component of nonprofits at all. Yeah.
To say the least, essentially.
Sure,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I'll shout out BESA too on this one, that we have worked closely with BESA for years, and I think especially if you're looking for a specific nonprofit that you're kind of like looking for like a home to volunteer at, I think BESA is the best way to get started. We were chatting before that some of our volunteers that come in each year to help us prepare for each of our Girls on the Run seasons are from BESA, and it's the same volunteers each time too. I think that's something that I really like to see in volunteerism too, is if you find something you love and something you learn, it takes that much less energy from your nonprofit staff to teach you how to do something and share that. So if you do find a volunteer opportunity that really works for you, I encourage you to stick with that, because I think when we're talking about all of our resilience and everything, it's very true, but like I'm tired all the time. So having people who are dedicated to doing that is really helpful. And I think for us specifically at Girls on the Run, and I'm sure other nonprofits are the same, I think a lot of people see either like one-time volunteer opportunities like at our 5K or a board member, and there's nothing in between. But at Girls on the Run, we have so many committee members on marketing committees, event planning committees, fundraising committees, that we hope that obviously it does help us and impacts us, but we hope that it does impact our volunteers as well. We want to use it as a resume builder in a genuine way to help them like learn skills and meet new people. So those are some of the ways. I mean, like I said, we're a 3-person team. Like I don't have an IT department, I don't have an HR department, I don't have a marketing department. Like we're doing all of those things, and we're only able to do it because we have the support of people who have expertise and are willing to volunteer their time.
Real quick, can any of you imagine your workplaces without marketing or HR or IT? Just for like a second. Like, what would that be like? Yeah. Now imagine your team is 3 people. Like, it's just a vastly different work culture.
Yes. I never imagined I'd be like scanning someone's passport to upload like HR documents. That's not what I knew I signed up for, but
Right.
Many hats.
yes.
The other duties as assigned in
Yeah.
nonprofit leadership is pretty much bold in first.
Yes, that sign is actually longer in a way. Yeah, it's not physically longer, but it's more of your time.
Yeah. To kind of echo off of what she was saying, I very much recommend you take a look at our site. Our team posts over 75 public projects every month. So there's gotta be something on there that you might be interested in, whether it fits your schedule or if you really love animals or if you really love like working at a food pantry or anything. There's something for you. So volunteerism, to echo everybody, is something that can directly help our the people who work at these nonprofits and also like the clients that they're serving. So that's definitely a great way for you to, one, boost your mental health. It's got a domino effect. That connection piece is so important. I find it in my life, and also it's just great to also pass that down to my son, is getting him out there versus just kind of staying isolated.
So I'll echo too, as far as the volunteerism, board service donors, there are so many places. So BESA is a great example of being able to it's almost like dating. It's like finding that perfect fit. So one of the things I always ask people is I love to ask how many registered 501c3s you think there are in Franklin County alone? Anybody have a guess?
7,000.
There's over 17,000. There's 84,000 in Ohio and 2 million in the United States. And so and again, yes, some of those hospitals, things like that. So social service nonprofits, there's less, but there's a lot. And so all that to say is, this is coming from somebody that's worked for, the largest American Cancer Society, large nonprofits. So that's from Cause IQ, in case you're wondering the data of the breakdown of each of those nonprofits. But I say that to say that a lot of them don't have marketing departments. And so places like BESA as a matchmaker for great organizations doing great work. So two, I'll shout out real quick, and you kind of touched on it a bit. So Stowe Mission, if anybody knows where Nationwide Children's Hospital is, just south of that is Stowe Mission. They serve about 400 plus people a day lunch. They give about 140 people a month shower that wouldn't otherwise get it. They have a dental clinic, a vision clinic, pregnancy center, a food pantry. They give shoes away. They're just incredible. One of the things that I love about them, having two young daughters, and you mentioned this, a lot of volunteer requirements are 14, 16, 18. They pride themselves. They had a group of moms with 2-year-olds, and when they allow somebody to get a shower that wouldn't otherwise get one, they give them a hygiene kit. So they brought these 2-year-olds in there, and there's stuff in the hygiene kits. I brought my 7-year-old down there, my 7-year-old daughter, and they put her to work. They did not baby her one bit. She was out there cleaning stoves. It was great, and that pride and that she saw the difference that she made. So kind of a cool to give you hope, the doom and gloom, to give you a little bit of hope. So I saw it in my daughter, and I don't do a lot right as a parent, so but this is one of those things. So she won $200 at a little festival, and immediately said, I want to give back, and gave a portion of it back to Stowe. So yes, so that's when you're like, okay, I'm doing one thing right. So that's one. The other, like I said, on the volunteer side is marrying your passions with, as you kind of mentioned before, is kind of leading Habitat for Humanity for years. If you love woodworking and you love things like that, there are groups out there that will utilize your skills. I am somebody that I've got my unique skill sets, and I love pouring into places with what I bring. And so lean into your strengths, what makes you fulfilled, and then find a group that will utilize those. That's my advice.
Okay, great, terrific. I don't know, when I sat myself here, I think everything has really been covered. I'll just say that volunteerism is extremely important. And there's not been a nonprofit that I've ever worked in or around that was able to survive without some type of volunteer effort and group. And so OANO needs volunteers. I'll just put that out there. And we also can act as a conduit for those who are looking to volunteer, to matchmake you with other organizations as well. I will say that I started personally, and so I encourage you. I was 21, my first volunteer activity. And I don't know, at some point I thought maybe I'll grow out of this whole community service thing, but I never did, right? And so since I was 21, I've been involved and engaged in something every year of my life, whether I'm sitting on someone's board or sitting in some advisory council or some task force or volunteering in some way. And you're a great dad. I'm just gonna, you're doing a wonderful job. And so no, none of our organizations can make it without volunteers. And I've been doing it for 40 years because it does give you something back that you can't really put a dollar amount on. So I encourage it.
Yeah, it really means a lot to the community. And one of you said, I think it was Kristen, said that it was that it helps your mental health.
Yeah.
And it just sort of improves your connection to your community.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's very true, everyone. Okay, so let's also quickly touch on a couple other ways people get involved. So board membership is huge, and donating. So I'm gonna kick this one down to Brian.
Okay. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the philanthropy piece of it.
Absolutely.
And just how you are seeing people use their dollars in a more strategic way.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be.
Absolutely. So the two things, first going on the board service side, I would encourage everybody here, again, going back to the volunteering on board is far even greater, treating it like dating and marriage. And I say that to nonprofits as well. Be careful of who you invite on your board. If you're serving, be careful of what you sign up for. To put it on your resume, things like that. If that's your hope, it's going to be a bad experience for both. So I would say on the board service side, date thoroughly on both sides. And again, and expectations wise, I always tell people, one of the things I help groups with is lay out and be really thorough with what you're hoping to get. Time, talent, treasure. Again, it's like this dance that we do and say, we want you to govern, we want your expertise, and we do. But really, as an extension of an executive director at a nonprofit, the board is there to make sure the missions move forward. So again, going down the donor side things, I have not seen a greater change than in the last couple of years, where in years past, people would make a donation, feel really good about it. People now view it as a philanthropic investment. So one of the things that we work with groups on a lot is this whole notion of venture philanthropy. So taking venture principles to philanthropic problems. And so again, that's something I teach and help and work through is again, taking those models now, instead of just saying we're going to give a program, we're going to get our annual report, we feel good about ourselves, we're going to go to a gala. The whole point of North Star is our tagline is we go from transactional to transformational fundraising. And so gone are the years, cutting my teeth in the Muscular Dystrophy Association with Fill the Boot and this and these transactional things, and they've got their place. But I'm seeing now there's an appetite for people getting involved with time, talent, treasure, and an investment. And so things like venture philanthropy, things like again, letting people come in, for a great mission and being a part of that with ownership and being able to be a part of the solution is where you're going to see the greatest impact. And then the last thing I'll say on this, and I advise families and high net worth folks as well on their giving. And what I say is to avoid peanut butter philanthropy. And what I mean by that is spreading it thin and wide, giving $10, $15, $20, $100, whatever to a lot of nonprofits who are then trying to manage you and steward you along. Pick what's really important to you as a family and to you personally, and that's 3-4 things, and get really deep and make an impact in those things.
Oh, we have a question.
So you mentioned venture philanthropy, and I'm coming from my background in nonprofit accounting. I'm curious if you're viewing any changes with the grant landscape in terms of how nonprofits are fundraising and how they are keeping their doors open, whether it be individual donations, business-like activities. I'm curious your take on that.
Absolutely, and I guess one of the things I always start with, because venture philanthropy is a really misunderstood concept too. So I'll be real clear too. Is what I always start is it's taking venture principles to philanthropy. There's no ownership stake because there's no equity in nonprofits. But I will tell you, to answer your question, when I advise nonprofits now, I'm telling them that if your pie chart of your revenue that makes you go is not very diverse, then you're going to be in for a rough ride. And so I think last month you guys talked about social enterprise.
Yes.
Again, so I tell groups, if you're healthy and you're going along, find other revenue streams. So that's venture philanthropy, not venture philanthropy, social enterprise, which using the skill sets that you have under your nonprofit for goods and services, and using those proceeds to then fund the mission, like a Habitat for Humanity Restore. I think Phil was here last week and worked with him at Habitat for Humanity. They do the restore very well, but that you don't have to just do a restore. There's so many ways to mirror that. So the other piece that I would tell you is that if a nonprofit is not having a strategy and actively drip messaging all of their constituents about planned giving and legacy giving right now. They're missing out a enormous, I would say opportunity, but we all talk about this transfer of wealth that's happening. The time to have conversations with our donors and are supporting us, whether they've been supporting us at $5 a month or $500,000 a year, being able to offer and celebrate and recognize somebody's intention of putting you in their legacy and their estate is absolutely massive. And so that's what I see a lot of is nonprofits have a group of 3, and it's okay. We got to do the program, we got to do the events, we got to do this, and just keep their head above water. So it's bandwidth. So it's one of the things we work on a lot of is what are some things that are ready made that you can drip message or have those conversations with people that love and support you that may have not put those two together. That if I'm 45 and have a family, I should have an estate plan, and in that estate plan I should call out the things that I care about most. But most groups, what I find is it's a bandwidth issue, and so being able to do that strategically, make it a priority is another big one. I don't know if that was answering all your questions.
No, that does. I appreciate it. I mean, I also come from a social enterprise background. I ran that club at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So working, hearing for-profits, working backwards to how can I be more philanthropic, and also nonprofits working forwards to how can I get the benefits of both and use those both business structures in tandem.
Absolutely, and I do see, one of the best things, so I was the president of a hospital foundation in Carolinas, and one of the things that always stuck out to me, talking was our board chair would very much clarify that nonprofit is a tax strategy, it is not a business strategy. And so I do think that running nonprofits very efficiently, like a business, but then also businesses thinking about philanthropically what they can do good. I think there is more of a hybrid that can be effective. Absolutely, yeah. So one of the areas that we work in a bit is helping, again, as I mentioned, athletes and then business owners that have a platform, whether it's wealth or notoriety, that want to do good. And again, I talked about the bandwidth issue. So many, one of the things that I started down that route is I would hear, I'm playing right now, or I'm scaling my business. We're going into a Series A funding, and I just don't have the bandwidth. I want to do good, and so being able to help folks figure out, okay, now is the time to maximize that platform, whether it's your business, whether it's your platform as an athlete, and to cause the most good that you can, whether that's dollars, notoriety, impact, and everything. So I would say that is a big change. That then what has been is the delineation between nonprofits and businesses. I think there's a call for them both to run efficiently, but also businesses to do good.
I feel like BESA is a very good example of an organization that's doing that really well. Do you have anything to add to the conversation about?
I would say, even as he was mentioning the whole aspect of diversifying, one thing that we definitely learned, as even in the past 5-6 years that I've been there, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't solely depend on donors, funders. We had to also be agile and figure out different ways to bring in funds so that we can support the work that we need to do. So volunteerism, yes, but also we have services that we provide to our business partners in the community where we can run their philanthropic endeavors. And we used to, I used to run a grants platform on the software that I managed, and we learned that's not our highest and best. And making that decision is key, right? Being too spread thin and not being able to focus and provide absolute great service and what your mission is for, that was a hard decision, but something that's very key. And a lot of nonprofits, I think, also have to make that decision and not just try and be like peanut butter and just be everywhere and spread thin. We want to go deep, and we don't want to just be surface level.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you.
No, I was just gonna say, I applaud you guys, because one of the things that I love with BESA and other groups, and you just kind of said it, is trying not to be everything, is as a nonprofit, don't chase money, don't chase grants, don't chase money, figure out your lane and and you guys do that really well.
And that's kind of what, Mark, you were talking about. It's this clarifying that's happening with
organizations.
Yeah.
While they might be shrinking, they're also
Yes.
getting a lot more efficient and better at what they're doing.
Exactly. So it's a nice, interesting conversation. I believe that nonprofits have to innovate, right? And when you have stresses and presses, right? It makes you must be pay attention to being adaptable and being flexible and being nimble and being quick. And these are things that we typically don't associate with the nonprofit sector, right? And I will say that we created a program, OANO did, that's called FIND, the Forum for Innovative Nonprofit Development. And the reason that we created it was so that we could hear from the sector what things they're doing that are off the beaten path.
Ooh, like what? Give us some examples.
Oh my goodness, there's been so many great presentations. There was an organization, and the name is kind of complicated, so I'm gonna forget it, but they work with folks who have autism, and they have this terrific way of managing their organization. So when they came to do their presentation, and we didn't know what we were going to hear necessarily, and they started talking about this kind of a flat hierarchy of how they have organized their pay structure for their senior staff, right? And as they began to talk about it, the things that were resonating was, okay, everybody makes the same. The CEO makes the same as the other. Everybody makes the same. Okay, nobody makes more or less than anybody else. And what their co-ED was saying is that's because everybody has value.
Yes.
And they didn't want that pay structure, right? And so I saw people get on the edge of their seat and try to, because that's an interesting thought.
Even seniority didn't impact?
No, not at all. Seniority didn't impact it.
I
And
kinda
so,
love that.
yeah, and well, the fact that they had just won $400,000 was like, maybe we should listen to them. And so this is something that OANO intends to duplicate across the state. We're pilot here in Columbus. We're in some talks to Southeast Ohio, but we have to try to hear and share, right? So we want to hear what people are doing. And the thing that's fascinating about these stressful times is there are organizations that are going to be starting, AI is a big deal, that are coming into this environment fresh and new. I talked to someone this morning that's got that founder's fire. As he begins to think about creating his nonprofit, he doesn't have the old days. He doesn't have the old baggage. He's creating an environment of this environment now, right? And so how he begins to structure his organization in this environment is going to be different than the way we've done things in the past. And so for a lot of reasons, I'm kind of excited about these days, even though they are stressful. It's creating new kind of tributary ways and means and modes and methods, and you're 100% right. This idea of having, this business practices inside your nonprofit is absolutely correct. We have, when I teach and train, I talk about business model development. I used to teach business plan development. And I was teaching a bunch of folks, I'm getting older, so I'll start meandering, I'm sorry. Start telling stories. I was teaching people about how to make their business plans and whatnot. And we'd get halfway through the plan. This is relevant to nonprofits. We get halfway through the plan, and I realized their whole model was not strong, right?
Yeah.
Now, we could go back with them and fix it, but a lot of times, a lot of nonprofits, their whole model, their mission model has to change. We've had too many things happen in this environment, and you have to go back and look at your model and see, is it still relevant for today? And so these days are forcing that if you intend to continue your missions.
Sarah, I don't want to put you on the spot. Are you doing anything innovative with Girls on the Run, or see any ways where you've had to make those types of decisions?
Yeah, on both sides, for better and for hard. I think,
Let's hear it.
I think some of the things, again, team of 3, so like streamlining is the name of the game. Some of the things that we've done as far as we give shoes to our girls who need them, so we've completely like redone our process of how we do that to make it more efficient for our staff's time, because staff time is donor dollars. So just always trying to make things as efficient as possible, and to keep up with the times. Because I don't have to feel too bad because I'm not eliminating any positions, I've honestly gotten really into AI and using chat to, sometimes compose an email, because I've got like 5 minutes to do 500 things.
Yeah.
And if this is gonna help me get my message out to more people, we obviously have, rules and policies and things in place with AI to make sure that, we maintain who we are. But, if I'm writing my board members an email just to give them information about something that's coming up, but I wanna make sure it makes sense to someone other than me,
Yes.
I just pre-write it, put it in chat, and send it out, and it's great. So definitely streamlining in some of those ways. And then I think on the harder side of what we're experiencing and having to run like a business is looking at our bottom line and our dollars. If we have less dollars coming in, I have less dollars to like buy things like the shoes that we give out to girls. And so that's the hardest part of having some of those conversations with people is, talking about need, I think, is always a really hard conversation to have too. Everyone has a different concept of what need is as well. And so ensuring that we're gonna be able to fulfill our mission for the next 5 years sometimes means having conversations with the people that we're helping about what can we give you, like what resources do we have that will allow us to help you, while also ensuring that we're gonna exist next year.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I like that you are bringing AI into the conversation, because I can't have a conversation with anybody anymore without talking about it. We have a question.
I was going to say that I definitely appreciate this panel and because I'm self-employed, I'm a team of 1, but I'm an LLC. I'm not a nonprofit, but I was very interested in coming here because I knew that it's just a tax difference, you know what I mean? And I'm just glad that my aspirations, my anxieties, my excitement, it's palpable, coming from you all as well. And even this week I had already, this is my 3rd day full time with my company, and I had a prospective client. Thank you. I had a prospective client, and I felt that this client was not a good fit for my business. And I thought to myself, I can't chase money. I need to chase my peace. And I'm so glad to hear what you just said. So it confirmed, like, yes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm just glad to be a part of this panel. And this is an extremely enriching conversation. Thank you all.
Oh, congratulations,
Thank you.
day
Thank you.
3.
Appreciate
That's amazing. Yeah, Brian and I were just earlier today talking about how we're doing things differently. We're following our values. And when something doesn't feel right, I was saying, if I feel in any way discomfort about what I'm doing, either burnt out, frustrated, any of those like unmotivated types of feelings that I get, I really have to inspect what I'm doing as a whole and see if there's anywhere where I'm not actually serving the organizations that I work with to the best of my ability, and I have to make some tough decisions that might mean letting that client go if they can go off and do something else.
Exactly, and it's like I have to take care of me and protect my license, protect my business to ensure that I'm providing best services, for my clients. And I'm glad that we're transitioning to AI too, because AI has been my best coworker. So.
Yes. I agree. How many of you are using AI on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How about we imagine all the time we're saving with AI and put it back into these organizations? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. How about that? Kelsey, right?
Yeah, hi.
Her first CYP event. Yes.
So I serve on the board, I'm the co-chair for my company's prior organization, our ERG, and very fortunate I work for a company that each of our ERGs has philanthropic dollars we're able to give to organizations. And I've noticed a trend where a lot of our philanthropic partners would agree to come speak to us. We meet monthly, like we'll partner with suicide prevention organizations, other organizations like that. Usually there's kind of that quid pro quo of like, we'll come speak to you, you give us some money, which we're totally fine with. We have it, we're happy to give it out. I'm just curious, these are generally national organizations we're partnering with, we're a national company, but I'm interested as the new co-chair in bringing local organizations in. Is there, as those kinds of organizations, what is the best way to get in contact with you? You have smaller staffs, you have more limited resources, so I want to be respectful of that, but also make sure our philanthropic dollars are going to more local organizations, so.
Yeah, I mean, groups that have organizations like these nonprofits are coming to. Also, there's many folks that serve in a lens like mine. So it's interesting you say that. I don't monetize it, but I work with a lot of companies. So there's a bank right now. They're an incredible Buckeye State Bank, and there's many other banks. Huntington, all of them are great here. But they actually had a very similar, interesting dilemma where they have a very unique footprint. They're in Bell Fountain, they're in Appalachian, Ohio, they're here, and so they're trying to do philanthropic good. And instead of just saying, we're going to go to the American Cancer Society, which again worked for them, love them, they're great, but saying, okay, how can we do good? So there's a lot of consultants, there's a lot of folks in this community that would love to give you free, have those conversations and saying, I would say what the company should do is say, look at what their principles are, what they care about, the 3-4 things, you mentioned suicide prevention or other things of that nature, what is most important to that organization, and then work with the community like this to say, who's doing great work? Because there's certainly, like I said, of the 17,000 nonprofits in Franklin County, they would love to be, engaged, obviously the dollars, but then the people as well. So I would say those kind of conversations, find your trusted people that aren't going to be asking you for money, that, there's many of the folks that are the giving, lead giving for the organizations that I talk to on a regular basis. And those conversations are really helpful because they're asking me, hey, if we're thinking about this, who's doing great work, but then also I'm able to ask them, bring up things to them and then say, this is where we're at. We're in a challenging time. We're doing layoffs, so we're not going to be giving any money. But volunteerism is something we're going to focus on. So that kind of those relationships in the community, I think, and it doesn't have to be me. There's thousands of me's in Columbus, but
It's a bit of a struggle because technically one of our smallest offices is actually in Columbus. We're headquartered in Chicago. But one thing we're struggling with too, just from like a corporation perspective, is that we're under the scrutiny as a large corporation of the current administration. So everything we do has to be approved by our DEI office. Everything has to be vetted 2 to 3 months in advance. Yeah. And so it's also finding partners that are, when we want to support their mission as an energy, but also have to keep things above board for DEI purposes under this current administration, it's quite like an interesting. So that's why we're looking at diversifying local too, because, but
yeah,
it's a balance.
And to hype up somebody like BESA, I think there's a lot of organizations, as that volunteerism is the first, as I talked about, like the dating before.
Yeah.
That's a really low, I don't say not entry point, but as far as a great connection point. And then, again, as you see XYZ organization that you're able to give that time to, the talent and treasurer then come as well. So that might be a nice point as well, somebody like BESA.
I was going to say, I'm happy to give you my card. We thrive on trying to make connections like the ones that you're talking about. So we know we currently are only working with around 200 nonprofits in the area, but like that 200, like I'm sure we can find something, even as you think about like, we want to go deeper into like the youth space or education or whatever you need. Happy to make connections and introduce you to my coworker who has all those.
And if I could just give you like a little tiny bit of advice, try to make that money, that sponsorship that you are giving away as unrestricted as possible.
Yes.
one of the biggest things that you can do for an organization is just give them the money so that they can decide what to do best with it. And like grant deliverables and all of those
Yeah.
things can really weigh a small staff down. So when you're working with a local team, just make sure that you are making it as easy as possible for them to engage with you. So, yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to connect philanthropically with our organizations. I think we are all concerned about the administration, and we are all walking a very, very fine line with how we are talking about what we do, in a way that we're still able to reach people, but it's hard.
Well, I was gonna say, it is a very fine line, you know, the 501c3, by legal, definition cannot, in this current environment, is hard not to be political and not to get political, cause it's, to your point, some are under attack, some, and so, but legally, you know, 501c3s cannot have a legal, or cannot have a political lean, 501c4s can, but there's different tax strategies, so being able to be Switzerland is getting harder and harder. But I will say, I do encourage nonprofits of, you know, again, just being able to make sure we're walking that line. But to Cass's point, it's very difficult on a day-to-day basis when things are changing and there's an attack. But that is one thing I encourage people for is 501c3s can exist in the place that transcends politics and administrations and things like that. So, and I encourage groups to focus on, again, the great work happening, you know, when my daughters both did the 5K. And so, like, you know, again, it shouldn't be political to have a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, you know, getting to run a 5K and enjoy from them. So focus on that area, in a time where there's so much doom and gloom. Focus on the good and the vision that can be accomplished.
Hope is important.
I want to give you each a little bit of time to kind of say anything else that you might have on your mind, events coming up, ways people can get involved, final food for thought as we go into our day today. Yeah. If you want to be.
I can go.
You want me to go?
You got it, you go ahead.
So one thing I'm really excited about that I'm gonna shamelessly plug here is our WISH program, where we work with the community to adopt about 2,000 area seniors for the holiday. So that will be up and coming soon. I manage the software that we use to track the thousands of gifts. And we just did a bunch of updates on it, so I'm really excited about that. That'll be launching early November, and it's just something that it just sparks such joy for you to go out and to purchase a gift or a gift card for these seniors who may not, you know, get anything over the holidays or just need food on the table. So I invite you all to, you know, pay attention to BESA and of course participate, volunteer, but like that program's coming up very soon and it's one of my favorites.
So I have two things to, I would say, shamelessly plug, and it's completely shameless because they're both incredible. So again, I mentioned there's two partners of mine right now that are either serving Columbus or based in Columbus. So again, Stowe Mission I talked about before. I've got some things over there to volunteer, whether it's a group of friends, a family, religious group, church group, anything like that, or, you know, they can use your time, talent, and treasure very well. The need is great. So they don't get government funding, but in that south side, a lot of that government cuts. So you may have heard Mid-Ohio Food Bank is going to be cutting in November their services. There's a tidal wave of need hitting them right now. So they're, like I said, they were feeding about 250 people a day. It's over 400 now. And so they'll use you. They're amazing. Stowe Mission is fantastic. Yeah. So the other one, this is a newer one, as we talked about the business practices, that's near and dear to my heart here is kindergarten readiness, early childhood education. So I am partnering with a group out of North Carolina. It's a gentleman that made his fortune, his dollars, and then has decided to do good. And so he has created a touchpad called AppSeed. So there's no Wi-Fi, no camera, no ability to change anything. And it's a scalable, simple, financially sustainable solution to try and address kindergarten readiness. We are as a country, and this area are woefully not ready for kindergarten. And if a child goes into kindergarten not ready, the data shows that they're in an uphill battle their entire academic career. And so Seedling, I have one here if anybody wants to see it afterwards, is again a no Wi-Fi, a very simple touchpad. It's a $200 price point. It's given to the child with then wraparound services for the parents. That is for 3 and 4 year olds. And so over 10 years, this guy's self-financed everything. So they created, they have the software, everything. They've had over a 45% increase in kindergarten readiness for a $200 one-time intervention. And so as I'm now trying to bring this to nationally, Ohio, I want Ohio to get this next. They're basically saying wherever they can fund it, they will bring it. So they went to Meadville, Pennsylvania, they're in New York, California. AppSeed is absolutely incredible. So looking now for partners and people that want to be a part of bringing that to Ohio. So those are the two things I will absolutely plug right now.
Sounds great. I would say I really encourage and invite all of you to come out to one of our Find events at the Columbus Metropolitan Library downtown. We meet every second Tuesday from essentially 9:30 to 11. And it's a great opportunity to have kind of this similar situation where we have a presenter, a couple of presenters, and you get to meet and talk with some other nonprofit folks, some who are just starting and some who have been around for a while. I will also put a shameless plug apparently for volunteers, because everybody in here, I would love for you to consider OANO as a potential opportunity for you to spend your time, talent, and treasure in whatever capacity that you have. We need it. So, I also want to encourage everyone. I'm a big AI advocate, and the safe use of AI. I think we have to continue to say that for a while. You know, especially for startup nonprofits and small nonprofits and small businesses, you must leverage this tool. If you don't, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Cassie and I in the conversation before, I loved how you said it. You said, we're not going to lose jobs to AI, you're going to lose jobs to people that know how to use AI.
Yep. And we got a whole generation of folks who are going to be coming up that are AI first people. And so those of us who are young professionals that are in a certain stage, that group, that set that's right behind that other group, yeah, they're going to come with it. So.
Well, honestly, we have so many great things coming up that it takes a second to think, what is going on? What am I doing in 1 hour from now without referring to my calendar? Which feels great to say though, considering honestly my mental state about the nonprofit world 5 months ago, and that's not to say it's not still an uphill battle, but I think people beyond people in the nonprofit space are recognizing this, and some of the opportunities that we have coming up right now are extremely reflective of that. So one of the big picture things we're really excited about, and I can't give away too many details, but the city of Columbus is really passionate, the mayor's office specifically, about making Columbus a space for women's sports. And so keep an eye out for lots of fun things coming up in the next couple of years related to that. And that's an example of how people with maybe more power, more dollars than our small nonprofit are bringing us into the conversation to give us a bigger platform to be able to share the work that we do. So that's a big picture of something exciting. And then another example of how we're just really grateful that the Columbus community is a great place to run a nonprofit overall, definitely. And so an example of how a for-profit organization and a connection through a board member has really helped us. Tomorrow, in honor of International Day of the Girl, which is actually on Saturday, but it's not a business day. So tomorrow, we are actually kicking off a campaign tomorrow through December 1st with AEP Foundation giving a $30,000 match. So it's a great opportunity. That's one of my, it's every nonprofit fundraiser's dream to get a match campaign.
Which, if you don't know what that means, it means if you give $10, then AEP also gives $10.
Yes.
So it doubles your impact.
Yes. So we are very excited about that. And again, representative of the culture of, I think, feeling even less difference between nonprofit and for-profit, because a lot of for-profits are really stepping in to make sure that the work that they care about is being still happening in the community.
That's right. Oh my goodness, thank you all so much. Oh,
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say one last, as we talk about tips or things to bring to the nonprofits you all care about, we sit in this beautiful building in Cohatch. So I don't know if you all are familiar with Cohatch. I'm a member. I'm waving the Cohatch flag. I love it.
I'm a member too.
Yeah, so Cohatch does more for nonprofits than anybody will ever know. So for any nonprofit you have, they have scholarships here. So they can apply and they can get a scholarship to get a working, and so having access to 13 offices is great. And then having access to the startups and the businesses that operate out of here are fantastic as well. The community managers, the ownership, Cohatch is fantastic. So I just wanted to plug them. As we sit in this
I second that, yes.
thank you, Cohatch. Thank you, Mallory. Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you all for being here. This has been a wonderful conversation, and we'll see you again next month. What is the conversation next month?
On the arts in
The arts.
Columbus.
Yes.
We got to keep it alive.
Absolutely. All right.
All
That's
right.
it. Yay.
Was able to form sentences early in the morning.